So this homework's all about texture. Texture describes the surface quality of an object. So looking at this shell, the texture of this shell would be classed as smooth. Okay, the visual quality is probably shiny because it is so smooth. So this can be actual texture. Now, because I can pick this up and feel it, that is actual texture. If it's in a drawing, then that is implied texture. So to create texture, we are going to use scumbling, blending, stippling and hatching. And surfaces can be smooth, pitted, peeling, soft, hard, metallic, reflective and lots more. Okay, so here are just some examples of some of the drawing techniques we are going to use today. So the first thing, as always, we are going to write down the texture definition. Okay, so we should have learnt these in class. So hatching is when we are going to use little lines. They don't necessarily need to be neat or going in the right or the same direction. Stippling is when we're going to use little dots. So to make these darker, you have to press harder and put them closer together. Scumbling is when we're going to do little scribbles round and round and round. And cross hatching is when these lines are going to be overlapping a lot more. So the closer they are together, the darker it's going to look. Okay, so looking at the criteria today, you can describe what texture is, which you've done up here, and I can draw the poppy seed head to fill the page. Now, if you can go outside and find a poppy seed head, then that is great, or you can just look at this picture we'll find on the internet. So the first thing I'm going to do is hold my pencil quite far down so that I'm not pressing hard, and I'm going to draw pretty much a circle and make that into a lollipop. Now, it's this top section here that's going to be a little bit more challenging. So you need to imagine another circle or ellipse around here, sitting on top of your big circle. And then it's got another one underneath. Okay, and that is just going to help you to be able to draw the shape of this seed head. Okay, so once we've got the rough shape, we are going to be putting in these lines that are coming down. So this one is pretty much going up the centre. Got another one here, another one here, another one here. Now, I've probably made that look quite straightforward because I've drawn poppies before. So you need to almost count. So start with this line here and count how many lines you've got to fit in. So 1, 2, and then that's kind of the third one up here. So you've got to fit in 1, 2, and then that small one up here. So if we go this way, it's 1, 2, 3, and a small one. 1, 2, 3, and a small one. So you might have to spend 5 minutes just working on that shape a little bit before you move on to the next stage. Now the next stage is this top section. So this is where the petals would have been. So we're going to come down to a point here. We're going to draw 1, it almost looks like a petal, so I'm going to call it a petal. 2, 3, so that's 1, 2, 3. Then this side I've got another 3, so I've already got that 1, 2 and 3. Now these ones are actually coming out towards you, which makes them quite difficult to do. So it's almost a bit like a heart shape, and then there's this kind of N shape underneath. Okay, now the final thing I'm going to do is just make this not a circle anymore. So I'm just going to bring down so I can see here, like we did on the pear drawing, we added in some straight lines. So we're getting rid of that cartoony feel by sketching with slightly straighter lines. Now this one almost looks like it's got two lines, so I'm going to put another line in there, and it kind of drops down a little bit more. And again, it's going to look better if it doesn't look perfect. So that shape doesn't need to look like a circle. You don't need to draw around something to make it. It's going to look better if it's imperfect, because nature isn't perfect. And again, we're getting used to refining our drawings a little bit by rubbing out some of those mistakes. And again, I've left it till the end so it's not distracting me when I'm actually sketching. I did press harder a little bit when I started to make these lines a little bit more precise, so that's okay. Sometimes it naturally happens because you're figuring out which line you're going to keep. And when you're figuring that out, you probably will just naturally go a little bit darker on there. So these have got a bit of a centre shadow. And there we've got your poppy. So here it says, I can draw the poppy, seed head to fill the page. Yes, so again, do your hand test. Okay, can you see your drawing around your hand, which I can, so I know that is a big enough drawing. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to use blending to create basic tone. So if you look back at your pear, okay, you need to remember the technique you used on this. So you held your pencil on top, okay, to get the tone. So look at this. Where is that light coming from? Okay, where is the light? Where is the shadow? So it might be easier to find the shadow, and then the light is the opposite side. So the sunlight is on the left hand side again. So that makes it a little bit easier for us. So I'm going to swap onto my sketching pencil. And I'm going to really try and pick out just where those dark shadows are right now. So I can see there's a bit coming up here. And because I've got that really thick, that's really sharp, so I've got that really thick line, it's much, much quicker. So if you can get used to using this technique, that is a massive bonus to you. Now this side, because it's lighter, I'm just hardly pressing down. I know it's difficult for you to see in a video, but I'm hardly pressing at all. Now if you would like to have a go just on a piece of paper, okay, just warming up like this. What does it feel like when you press lightly? What does it feel like when you press harder? Okay, and if you're struggling to go light to dark, just have a little practice on a piece of paper. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm going to get back to shading this in. So really, I can't see any white on this one. So I'm going to be using my blending finger again, just to kind of blend over it, so I'm getting rid of all of the white. I don't really think there's a shiny spot like there was on the apple. So the focus of this drawing, don't forget, is texture. So you kind of don't want it to look too smooth. Okay, now hatching. Let's do some hatching. So this is when you're going to hold your pencil sort of a little bit further down, and you're going to put some lines on, and you're not going to blend these lines in. So the lines are going to come around. So if this was just a circle, the lines are coming around, making it into a sphere. Okay, so don't just do them flat like this or like this. Okay, it needs to be, they need to be a bit curved, and they need to go around the shape. So even though we might have learnt hatching as straight lines, don't forget to curve, and just think about layering them on top of each other. You can't, you know, tell too much that you've been doing hatching once you've built it up and up and up. Now I still want you to think about tone. So have a look on your sheet that you did last time. You still got to have this dark tone. So on here, it's going to be this section. So here needs to go darker. And I might not worry about hatching anymore, because I'm filling it in, I'm making it that shadow. Okay, next we're going to do some stippling. So that is when you are going to do some dots. So not everywhere, you've got to think where has she got it on here. Okay, scumbling, you're going to do some round and round. So where it's looking a little bit more textured. And again, if you hold your pencil further down, you'll be able to get some more spontaneous and quicker marks. So I'm moving quickly, I'm not, you know, drawing really slowly. Okay, so I'm now going to go around the edge with my rubber, rubbing out any mistakes in the shape, rubbing out any smudges. I am going to put a little bit of a highlight on because I can use it as texture, and it will just give it a bit more contrast. Okay, so the final part, I'm going to highlight my assessment criteria so I can draw the shape of the seed head to fill the page. Yep, I can blend to create a basic tone, so it's got light and it's got dark. I can add stippling, hatching, scumbling to create texture. So if you've only done 1 or 2 of these, you can just highlight 1 or 2. Okay, so to progress, I need to fill the space. So you won't be able to do all this lovely texture if it's this big, if it's tiny. And then I need to apply darker tones. So if you haven't got that dark tone, then that might be your target for improvement. So bring that to next lesson, and I can't wait to see them.